What is up? What is going on, everybody? I am back with the Seattle Seahawks post game recap. Before I dive into the Seahawks, as we have now transitioned from Mariner season into Hawk season, we're ready to go. Do me a favor, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, comment your thoughts on the Seahawks. Hey, we finally got wins from both the Mariners and the Seahawks on the same day, kind of, with the Mariners winning yesterday. I don't even know what to shout out first. I don't, but I mean, it has to be Devon Witherspoon, right? Like, we have to start with the game Devon Witherspoon just had on the national stage. 2 sacks, 7 tackles, tons of tackles in the backfield, and the pick six over 100 yards, maybe 99, with the Giants going into the end zone with the game 14-3 and the dagger. It's got to be Devon Witherspoon first and foremost. What a performance from the fifth overall pick, showing why he was the fifth overall pick. I love the selection when they made it. I know Jalen Carter has flashed early, and I think Jalen Carter, if everything can stay on course for him, I think he's in a good organization. I think he's going to have a successful career, but I also think Devon Witherspoon is going to as well. And this looked like a legion of boom defense. The Seahawks defeat the Giants 24-3 on Monday Night Football. They record 11 sacks, 2 interceptions, a pick six, just a weird football game. And I'll try to get into all of it. I may miss some stuff when you come off the high of a win like that. And I get the Giants have a lot of backups on their offensive line. So Seattle's defense dominated a bad offense. First and foremost, don't care. Second of all, Seattle's offensive line was more banged up than anybody's. They held up just fine. And thirdly, yeah, guess what? Good teams beat up on bad teams. That is what you're supposed to do. You break even with good teams and you beat bad teams. I'm not claiming Seattle's the upper echelon or anything yet, and I don't know where the Giants are going to end up at the end of the year. But even if the Giants are terrible, that's a dominating performance. That's what you're supposed to do to them. That does not take away from the performance. Do I expect pick sixes and 11 sacks every week? Of course not. That's not going to happen. But that's still an impressive performance. It's a team record for sacks. I mean, even if you're playing the worst offenses of all time, that doesn't necessarily happen. And the Giants' offense without Andrew Thomas, without Saquon Barkley, is definitely rough. It's not good, but it's still an impressive performance. That this same offense went to San Francisco last week, and the Niners didn't have 11 sacks. So it's still an impressive performance from the defense. And I do not care about what injuries the Giants had from the standpoint of the Seahawks winning. Obviously, with any injuries, I hope everybody is okay, because the Seahawks battled with more injuries than you can imagine. The offensive line that finished this game had 5 different guys than the starting offensive line. Start of the year, Charles Cross, left tackle, Stone Forsythe today. Damian Lewis, left guard, had to come out in the second quarter. Evan Brown, the center, has to go to left guard. Uluwatimi comes in and plays center. Phil Haynes leaves with an injury. Bradford plays right guard, and then Curhan at right tackle. Defensively, Jamal Adams plays 8 snaps, gone. Jaron Reed gets hurt, gone. By the way, the bye week could not be coming at a better time for the Seattle Seahawks. I usually hate early season bye weeks, but my gosh, does this team need a bye week right now? And Geno Smith got banged up today. And how about Drew Lock? Give Drew Lock the nod. He came in. I thought he made some good throws. I thought the first one he threw, JSN should have caught. He did miss JSN on another one, but he found Noah Fant. I'm sure they have that connection from Denver. He found him, and Fant did the rest going down the sideline. But Drew Lock came in, and you know what? He didn't turn the football over. He didn't. Shane Waldron drew up a nice game plan to get him out of the pocket, and Drew Lock did a nice job in his drive. So credit to him there. But yeah, the bye week could not be coming at a better time for the Seahawks. Let me address those injuries more individually. I can't give offensively enough credit to Shane Waldron. I know the offense wasn't necessarily amazing tonight. It was more the defense, but they didn't turn the football over. They had some plays that were called back with penalties. And they might have been rightfully so flags. I'd have to go back and watch it. I say this like in all the times. I'm not going to put that offensive performance in the Seahawks Hall of Fame, but I thought they did enough. I thought they moved the ball all right. They had a couple drives they just couldn't finish off. Myers missed a field goal. They went for a 4th down. But I think Shane Waldron deserves a lot of credit with what this offensive line is right now for the job he's done. I think we need to give the front office and the coaching staffs a lot of credit for this offensive line. The one thing, the Seahawks, the big difference between now and the Russell Wilson era, and this is of no fault really of anybody's, the depth is just so much better now. I mean, there would have been a time when anybody on the starting offensive line went out, you were done. Stone Forsythe, Jake Curhan, listen, I want Cross and Lucas back in there. They're the blue chippers. They should be starting. But what Forsythe and Curhan have shown you, they are good depth. They can play at the NFL level. Anthony Bradford, he's had some hiccups. He hasn't been, he's had some whiffs, but he's had some power blocks. Bradford looks solid. Curhan was beat a couple times by Thibodeau. It's going to happen. I want Cross and Lucas to get back in there, but the Seahawks have some really good depth. Uluwatimi did a nice job coming in at center. So really, really impressive performance by the depth of this team. The Jamal Adams injury I will talk about. It sucks. I feel so gutted for Jamal. I'm not going to get on him for yelling at the red hat guy, the concussion guy. It's an emotional moment. Jamal Adams just came back 380 days after his last game. Finally back in there. First drive gets hurt. He wanted to go back in there. The good news is, and I say good news very lightly, a concussion is probably worse than another injury because it's a head injury, and that's serious. That's more serious than, an ACL or an MCL for your long-term health. But in football terms, and I say that lightly, it's probably not the worst thing in the world. You have a bye week next week. Should probably be able to get back in there week 6 in Cincinnati. Obviously, like I said, personal level wise, non-football, concussion's worse. Just it's the head. But, from a football standpoint, I don't see any reason he couldn't be back in 2 weeks. Hopefully Lewis and Haynes is just precautionary and they can get back in 2 weeks. Sounds like Charles Cross was closer to going today. So he should be back in 2 weeks. So I think, listen, I hate early season bye weeks, but this is a perfect time for a bye week for the Seahawks. So hopefully they can get back going. What else did I want to dive into? Let's get the corner duo. Finally got to see Reek Wool and Devon Witherspoon playing together. Whew, I like it. I like it a lot. And I know the Giants don't have the weapons of some other teams. I get it. Don't need to tell me that. But it's still a dominant performance. It's still great to see. We haven't seen something like this. Well, something like this we haven't seen forever. But just a dominant defensive performance since the LOB. I mean, they had some good defensive games. Even last year, they played pretty well defensively against the Giants, against the Cardinals. They had some decent defensive games, the Jets, but this was a dominating bloodbath performance. It has been a decade since we've seen something like this. I mean, you may never see something like 11 sacks again, but you guys know what I mean. Let's dive into the box score here. Let's go over the scoring recap. Started out with Seattle scoring a touchdown on Geno Smith to DK Metcalf after Mario Edwards' strip sack of Daniel Jones. Mario Edwards has been a really nice addition. It was an under-the-radar signing, but man, has Mario Edwards been a really solid player. So that set up the touchdown. Then the Giants got a field goal, 55 yards from Graham Gano. The Seahawks scored on Drew Lock to Noah Fant. It was how long was that pass to Noah Fant? Let me pull up. It's a Gamecast here. Excuse me. It was a 1-yard run by Kenneth Walker set up by the Noah Fant catcher. I think it was like a 55-yarder, something like that. Then Devon Witherspoon, 97-yard interception return, and Jason Myers, a 34-yard field goal. So listen, a lot of the offense's success was set up by the defense. 2 of the touchdowns were almost defensive touchdowns. One literally was. The other one was set up by it. But we'll dive into the box score. Offensively, Geno Smith, 13 of 20, 110. 1 touchdown, no picks. Listen, a really tough game to judge the quarterback on. One, he got hurt, so he missed time in this game. Second of all, I do think he was under a little more pressure today. I'm praising the offensive line because with 5 guys, either backups or playing the position that they were not brought into play, I thought they held up well. But I do think the pressure was there a little bit more than the last couple games. And they had a big lead in the fourth quarter, so kind of it's hard to like, I'm not comparing it to this game, but remember when the Seahawks beat the Cardinals 58-0 in 2012? Russell Wilson that game was like 10 of 20 for 90 yards. Like when you get games like this, and this obviously wasn't 58-0, but it was over in the fourth quarter, you're not going to put up the big numbers. So I think Geno was fine. I'm glad that he came back in there, and hopefully a week off next week will be good and he'll be fine for week 6. Drew Lock was 2 of 6 for 63 yards. Like I said, I thought he had a couple decent throws. Like I'm not a big Drew Lock guy, to be perfectly honest. He's got a strong arm. He's fine as a backup, but I was never overly impressed with him in Denver. But I thought Waldron did a good job rolling the pocket for him. The throw to Fant was nice. He found him underneath. He did miss JSN on a throw over the kind of coming across his body. And then the first one he threw to JSN, I thought JSN should have caught. Kenneth Walker, 17 carries, 79 yards. The game started out with that, I forgot about it, that crazy Kenneth Walker play where he was down, but the whistle didn't blow, and he went up and ran for a 79-yard touchdown. I'm going to be honest, I didn't necessarily think there was enough to overturn that. If the call was touchdown, it looked like his butt cheek, cheek, sound like a 5-year-old saying that, and his elbow may have touchdown, but it wasn't, I didn't think it was conclusive, to be honest, that they did. Now, if the call had been down, I would have said the same thing. I don't think it's conclusive to say he's not down. But I actually thought that was a little on the overturn there. But yeah, 17 for 79. Charbonnet, I thought, actually ran the ball better today. He was 5 for 31. Walker did have a long run of 31 yards. I'm not going to lie, I don't remember that run from Walker that was 31 yards, to be perfectly honest. Receiving wise, Noah Fant 2 for 63, 51 yards on the big pass play. Lockett 4 for 54, DK 3 for 34, Cody Thompson 1 for 10, Charbonnet 1 for 9, JSN 3 for 5. They really haven't gotten JSN going yet. First of all, nobody really got going in the passing game today. Just 110, well, not 110 because Locke threw for some yards as well. So 173 passing yards total. So no one really got going yet. I'm not worried about Smith and Jigba for a couple reasons. One, he had the injury, and that could still be affecting him. Number two, listen, if this offense was really struggling and they weren't getting the ball to JSN, their first-round pick, I would be a little bit more concerned. I'd be wondering what's going on. But this offense has so many weapons. Walker, Charbonnet, Metcalf, Lockett, Fant, Disley, Parkinson. I mean, guys are going to not get opportunities at times. So I'm not worried about it at all. And it may just be something that Shane Waldron's having an adjustment to. I think Shane Waldron is going to be a head coach here very soon. I love what he is doing with the Seahawks offense. I love the tight end sets. I love the rolling pockets, but what Waldron does, because the Giants did a lot of that too with Daniel Jones, but he gets left open to a lot of pressure. The way that Waldron draws it up, Seattle hardly gives up any pressure on those plays. So been really impressed with it. Not worried about JSN. It's nice to know he's there in the back pocket. Defensively, do you guys have 40 minutes to go over the defensive numbers? My gosh. Bobby Wagner had 17 tackles and 2 sacks. I don't remember Bobby Wagner getting 2 sacks, but apparently he did. Jordan Brooks apparently had 2 sacks. Don't remember that either. I'm sorry. I just think there were so many sacks. I don't remember all of them. Devon Witherspoon, I remember 1 sack. I don't remember the second one, to be honest. And then the pick 6 was 7 tackles. Woolen had 7 tackles. He just missed a pick in the second half. Nwosu had 2 sacks and 6 tackles. Draymond Jones had 4 tackles. I thought he had a half sack, but I guess he didn't. Miles Adams got in with the sack. Quandre Diggs had a pick. Mario Edwards had the sack. And Boye Mafe, good for him. Really cool story. I shouldn't say cool. Very nice story on him and the relationship that he had with his mother before the game. That was really good to see. And Boye Mafe has really taken a step forward. He was a really good run defender last year, but he has taken a step forward in the pass rush game. And some of the numbers, the pass rush win rate numbers bear that out. I think he's got 2-3 sacks already on the year. He has been very, very impressive. So Seattle defense probably ranks first in the league in sacks now after today. I want to give a quick shout out to Michael Dixon. I thought had a fantastic game, pinned the Giants deep a few times. And I think DJ Dallas deserves some credit as a returner. He's had a couple punt returns that have been solid. He had a kick return where he was not far away from breaking that off. He's been impressive as a returner this year. Good win. Seahawks are 3-1. Like I said, this is a good time for a bye week. Normally, I hate the week 5 bye weeks. It's too early. But man, this team is banged up. They need it. They need to get healthy and get right. So I think it's a good bye week for this team. I am so fired up for this season. I love, and the Rams loss is starting to become a distant memory. Couple things with the Rams loss. Now, it's still disappointing. I still will say that at home, week one, you should beat the Rams. I think Seattle is a more talented, roster overall. But the Rams, all of a sudden, and it's something I did say after week one. I did my coat video after the Seahawks loss. I said, if Stafford is healthy with Sean McVay, I don't think the Rams are that bad of a team. I don't think they're great. They don't have a lot of depth. They're top heavy. I don't think they're necessarily a playoff team, but you saw the way they played that overtime drive Stafford had. Puka Nakua, I always butcher that. Nakua looks like a really, really good wide receiver that McVay is working his magic with. I think the Rams are at least a 7-9 win team right now. Now, Stafford could get hurt, Donald could get hurt, and they could drop off. But I don't think that loss is as bad as we think it was. And the more Seattle wins, the more it drifts away. And I'll say another thing. I think that Lions win is looking more and more impressive. Don't forget the Lions went into Arrowhead and won. They came home, took care of an undefeated Falcons team. I don't think the Falcons are that good, but they beat them up. And then Thursday night, the Lions went to Lambeau Field and just kicked the Packers' butt. That was an impressive win for the Seahawks. Week 2, backup tackles going into Detroit where they were fired up and beating them. That was an impressive win. And I think last week over the Panthers would have been a lot bigger win had Bryce Young played. I think Andy Dalton actually made the Panthers more competitive in that game. And let's not forget that was a 3-score game until the final couple minutes as well. So the Seahawks team's looking really solid. That is back-to-back blowout wins for the Seahawks. I love this roster. And if this defense, again, I don't expect them to repeat this every week. I mean, no defense. The 85 Bears wouldn't repeat this every week. But man, you see the talent. You see there, and I know the defense is strong. They didn't look good week 1. Week 1, they deserve criticism. I thought they played a little better against the Lions, and I thought they played pretty well last week. I know Dalton threw for 300-something yards, and everyone's like, oh, Seattle gives up 300 yards passing to everybody. Dalton threw the ball like 60 times last week. Any quarterback that throws the football 60 times is probably going to throw for 300 yards. Like throwing for 300 yards when you're down by 4 scores, not super impressive. I'm not saying that Dalton didn't play well last week, but I wasn't like, oh God, Seattle gave up 350 passing yards. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. They come out tonight and dominate. I know it's a banged up offense. I know it. I get it. I'm not a Daniel Jones guy. I don't think that's a good contract, but I think Brian Daboll's a good offensive coach that can design a good game plan. And it's a Giants team that, they did make the playoffs last year. I don't think it's the worst roster in the league necessarily. And I don't think their defense actually played that poorly tonight. But man, that offensive performance was atrocious. And Seattle's defense gets a lot of the credit as well. A dominating performance for your 3-1 Hawks. Let's go into the bye week. Let's get healthy. Get Charles Cross back in there. Get Jaron Reed healthy. Geno healthy. Jamal healthy. Lewis, Haynes healthy. Abe Lucas still to miss one more game. I don't know where they're at with him, but would love to get Big Abe back in there as well. So a great bye week. Go Seahawks. Huge win tonight. A lot of Seahawks content coming up on the channels. Snap count Tuesdays. I'll do that Tuesday. I'll go over the snap counts. I'm going to start firing up more Seahawks content now that the Mariners season is over. So remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all next time. Beautiful night. Great Monday Night Football game. Go Hawks. Peace.